I like to make YouTube videos, but what I really love to do is make the small story-driven work. The stuff that you have to like script out and put time into. I don't know. That's just kind of my thing. That's like what I really enjoy making. That's like usually ends up that is usually what I end up being proud of. So when this contest came up, I was like, okay, you know, normally I hate these film contests. I don't really like the prompts, but this one was really open-ended. There was a lot of flexibility and freedom with what you could do. And then I liked that there was like a 1:30 time constraint. So it's like a lot of freedom with what you could do, but you have this small amount of time to do it. I don't know, I just liked it. So I was like, all right, I'm gonna message my friend Jonas. He's one of my very few film friends. All honesty, I really didn't expect him to say yes, but he was completely down and even took 2 days off of work to do it with me. So thanks, baby. The prompt of this was, what is your passion? What drives you? It could be anything. There is really there's nothing else other than that. And so I asked Jonas, you know, do you have another passion? Because I kind of wanted to be behind the camera for it. He was like, no. And I was like, shit. I only have one other thing that I love, like truly love to do, and that's skateboarding. And so we really ended up having no other option but to do skateboarding. So the heater's broken in here and it won't turn off. So I'm sweating buckets, like it's right behind me. So the way that I'm gonna do this is I'm going to jump in straight into the storyboard, and then I'm going to just give the context behind each scene. So for the first scene, we shot this on the last day. Initially we shot it on the first day, but the lighting looked like shit, so we actually just decided to move it to the last day and ended up finishing it last minute. The idea for the scene was sort of like a fantasy film, like a cartoon or storybook of a person who is looking out on adventure. And you know, there's fantasy music in the background, at least this was in my head, and they're trying to make a decision. And I really wanted to kind of emphasize that decision and have, you know, close-ups of the face and then having a POV of the two paths that could be potentially taken. And I really wanted to try to show the tension that's going on between myself and the conflict that I'm having about, you know, which path am I gonna take? Kind of have some intensity about it, but also a sense of adventure. And so this film was not filmed completely the same way as it is shown here. Jonas kind of had a better idea to structure it, and we decided to go with that. Of course, it ended with me, you know, skateboarding away and you seeing the path that I chose.
Oh, I felt it. Oh, look at it, it's like caked in there. Fuck.
The second scene we filmed on the second and third day. So the first part of it, it cuts into a montage of me quickly getting my skateboard ready, and then it cuts into some spaghetti western music and a slow motion shot of me skateboarding and falling. Just kind of show that it's like war, that it's like a battle with yourself. And so luckily we had Jonas's Works Red camera. They lent it out to us and we were able to use some of their gear. And so we were able to use a Red, and we were able to get this shot in 240 frames. And then I wanted that slow motion shot of me falling to cut into kind of like a traditional classic, you know, draw, like a Western. And so I have some still frames of the good, the bad, and the ugly. I wanted it to look pretty much exactly the same. Like it's gonna be a shootout. Like you're gonna be, you know, going to battle. And so I decided to have, you know, the sound of the board snapping into the hand, like a gun being drawn. And I wanted it to sound like a, you know, a pop, a gunshot, and then cut into a very like intense montage of skateboarding. And I wanted to kind of showcase a lot of the different aspects of skateboarding. So me getting frustrated, me landing tricks, me missing tricks, and then have it kind of build up in intensity until I eventually break my board out of anger. Fuck. From that snapping of the board, I wanted it to hard cut into a peaceful scene of skateboarding like some sort of tranquility that I don't really think skateboarding is associated with. If you skateboard or, I don't know, do anything of the sort, you know that at times it's really peaceful. The simple times when you're just skateboarding down the street, you know, with your friends. And I really just wanted to show that. So, you know, I have some stills from Mark Bone's documentary Battleground, and I thought it was a beautiful way to portray skateboarding. So I wanted to get a shot that was very similar. We filmed this on the first day to get the gimbal shots out of the way. We had a friend drive for us, and we just went out at sunset with some trees, and I just followed around while Jonas was in the back of a car filming.
How's it looking?
Awesome. Oh yeah.
And then I wanted the scene to end with a center frame slow motion shot of me doing a trick. I wanted it to have like a beautiful background and kind of showcase skateboarding in a way of not just doing a bunch of little tricks, but that it's an art form and that it's like a moving art, because that's how I personally think of skateboarding. I don't really think of it as a sport. I kind of wanted that last shot to emphasize that it's an art form, that it's peaceful just as much as it is intense. So after the quietness of the previous scene, I needed to start to pick up the pace again of the story. And so, you know, I needed some kind of neutral, lighthearted music, you know, pictures of me flashing as a kid, going into like lifestyle of me explaining my relationship to skateboarding a little bit. These shots seem so simple, but this was shot on day 2, which for some reason was the most boring, grueling day. We could not get ourselves to find the right shots, to find the right lighting. And yeah, everything was very difficult. So I wanted to kind of break up the monotony a little bit and kind of interject with an interview shot similar to how Danny Gewirtz did it, really just straight up copying exactly how he did it. But instead I wanted to interject some humor, and so it's kind of like a pulling back from the reality of the film you're watching and kind of bringing you to the person who's telling the story. And yeah, I just wanted it to be a little humorous by me, you know, being self-deprecating and saying, you know, I'm a little bitch. And then I wanted the music to just kind of cut right back into the rest of the scene. So the rest of the scene is just a montage of lifestyle shots, which ends with me describing looking through, you know, a different lens, seeing the world through a different perspective. And then that cuts into a film montage, which, again, I'm cutting this from Danny Gewirtz's video. I gotta give credit to where it's due. I have seen this montage of film cameras before in a lot of other little films, and I've always wanted to do one because it's just so satisfying, like ASMR or something. And I wanted that to end with, you know, me snapping a photo that will lead into the next scene. The shot that we actually ended up using was not the intended shot. I was pretty much looking at Jonas to say, you know, did you get the shot? But instead I used it as part of the film to kind of like break a third wall. So after I took the photo, I wanted to kind of cut into the end final punch of the film. And so I have, you know, I wanted some quirky indie music playing that's still lighthearted, but a little bit intense. I wanted me skating down the street, you know, really traditional. This is also a shot we got the first day, just to get the hard shots out of the way. And I wanted to end this film with how I see skateboarding. It's kind of looked down upon in a lot of ways, and so I really wanted to kind of just explain what it is and have visuals that accompany it. So in this scene 7, it, you know, goes through me skateboarding through the street. It's another shot of me skateboarding around, kind of that clarity, that peace. And then I say, you know, it's the taste of a feeling. And not everybody will understand this clip, but it's me putting shoe goo on my shoe. So shoe goo is used in skateboarding to kind of make your shoes last a little bit longer. You put it on and it's like an extra little layer of rubber. And to put it on, you squeeze it on the shoe, and then you lick your finger, and then you rub the shoe glue onto the shoe properly so that it doesn't stick to your finger. And so I just kind of wanted to interject that little piece of skate culture that you would only really know if you skateboard. So for the last scene, I really wanted to take something traditional. I don't know why this is a thing, but in so many skateboarding documentaries, short films, commercials, a skateboarder is always rolling up to a bridge and looking out into the distance. I don't know why it's a thing, but it is. And so I wanted to take this kind of like stereotype and use it. I don't know why. I thought it would be funny. I thought it would be classic to do. So it's just me rolling up to a bridge, looking out over the world, kind of, sharing my perspective. It's a good ending, a good cliche, I guess. And then I wanted a close-up of my face, looking at the camera, breaking that third wall, while I tell the audience, skateboarding is passion. And then I skateboard off and kind of just leave them with that message. This is probably the hardest I've ever gone for a minute and 30 seconds of film. And it is also one of the best times that I've ever had making a film. Jonas and I worked incredibly well together. It felt perfect, it was fun, it was productive. When I started filmmaking, around that time when I was really new, is the same time the pandemic started. And so I didn't really get to work with a lot of people. So it was a really wonderful experience to work with somebody. And we're both new relative for filmmaking. We're both new to this in so many ways. I haven't made many of these like story type, really produced films. And Jonas hasn't made any story-driven type films before. So it was just new and exciting, and it really showcased what just two people can do in 3 days if they're really enjoying it and they really care about the project.
Yeah, that ground's kind of shit.
I definitely wanted this film to feel a lot longer than a minute and 30 seconds. And I wanted it to kind of be this journey of somebody explaining, why they're passionate about this thing, skateboarding. And it's also why I decided to use so many songs and why I decided to break everything up with these little montages to just get as much information to the viewer as possible in a minute and 30 seconds. I wanted this film to feel lighthearted and at the same time passionate and serious, and kind of have a balance between the two so that your emotions can go up and down. It's why I decided to, interject a lot of sound effects that are typically found in like a cartoon or like a Pixar film. Yeah, this is just something that regardless of how the film turns out, it was just such a great experience, a great learning experience. It was a true test of the capabilities of myself and Jonas as a cinematographer. Yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you enjoyed the BTS. Thank you for watching.
How was it called if you push like this?
Mongo.
Oh, you push it. Okay.